So there I was at home with a baby, and I got this idea, a crazy idea, that I would go to law school. So I got everything together. It took me a year. I'd take the tests, I'd do the applications, get it all together. And I get right down to the end. We're just a few days before classes start, and I just need one thing left: daycare. But hey, how hard could that be? I searched everywhere. The places were wrong, or the prices were high, or the waiting list was a mile long. And finally, we're down to, it's just less than a week before classes start, and I found a good place that we could afford. There was only one problem. They only took children who were dependably potty trained. I had a not quite 2-year-old and just a few days left. I stand before you today courtesy of 3 bags of M&Ms and a cooperative toddler. You know, otherwise I wouldn't be here. But here's the thing. Childcare never stopped being an issue. It was an ever-present weight that I carried on my shoulders every single day, and it never let up. Now, eventually, I graduated from law school, hugely pregnant with baby number 2. You may detect a pattern here. But when I got my first real teaching job at law school in Houston, I was beyond excited. I loved teaching, and I would do anything it took to make it work. Taking care of the little ones, cooking and cleaning, doing laundry at 11 o'clock at night. It was hard, but I could do hard. It was exhausting, but I could do exhausting. The thing that got me down? Childcare. One memory is still burned into my brain. Going in late in the afternoon to pick up Alex, he was the younger one, from daycare, and there he was, dirty face, miserable in a soggy diaper. I try to lay him down to change him. He starts kicking and screaming. Finally, I picked him up and headed to the car. He kicked and screamed louder and louder, and I dropped things, and I'm getting more upset. And I stood there in the parking lot with baby snot and pee on my clothes, unable to open the car door, completely overwhelmed. In the previous few months, we had tried it all: a babysitter, a neighbor with kids, a daycare center, another daycare center, and everything for one reason or another had fallen apart. So one night, I've been teaching for just a little while, I'm still in that first year. I put both kids to bed, and my 78-year-old Aunt B called long distance from Oklahoma to see how I was doing. I said, fine. And then with no warning, I started to cry. I just couldn't hold it together any longer. I blurted it out. I told Aunt B I was going to quit my job. I hadn't thought about it, but everything came crashing down and the words just came tumbling out. I cried, I sobbed, I heaved. Finally, I blew my nose and I got a drink of water. And then Aunt B said the 11 words that changed my life forever. I can't come tomorrow, but I can come on Thursday. And 2 days later, she arrived with 7 suitcases and a Pekingese named Buddy and stayed for 16 years. I see an Aunt B. Now, that story tells a basic truth. Nobody makes it on their own. And it tells a second basic truth. Without childcare, millions and millions of families simply won't make it at all. Now, if every working mom in the country had an Aunt B, we'd all be good. But that's not the case. And I know how lucky I was to have my Aunt B save the day. But think about the moms in America who don't have an Aunt B. Women working day and night, constantly worried about their children. Are they safe? Are they happy? Are they getting a first-rate educational chance that's going to give them a good start in school? Those questions gnaw on any mom, but they particularly gnaw on the moms who don't have great child care. High-quality child care is out of reach for way too many families in this country. But it is even further out of reach for African American families struggling to make ends meet. In more than half the states in America, 1 year of child care costs more than a year of in-state tuition at a public university. Think about that. On average, child care for one child costs the median African American household 22% of their income. 22%. Try building a budget around that. The numbers tell the story. Black women are more likely to be breadwinners for their family, are more likely to work more, are more likely to get paid less, and are the least likely to be able to afford decent child care. And this is not just an accident of statistics. It is the legacy of decades of systemic discrimination against Black women. Discrimination in pay, discrimination in housing, discrimination in finance, discrimination in health care. You pile all that together, then make high-quality child care expensive and hard to find, and it is little wonder that child care, or the lack of good child care, holds back one generation after another in communities of color. This is just plain wrong. We are the richest country in the history of the planet. Access to high-quality child care and education during the early stages of a child's life should not be a privilege reserved for the children of the rich. It should be a right for every single child in America. And that's why I'm proposing a big structural change. Universal child care and early education for all our babies.